Exceeding and surpassing all audience expectations every day. A slam dunk, El Rushmo behind the golden EIB microphone. My friends, I say it, and it happens. Yesterday on this program, I warned you. I made a prediction. I said the following. Now, the media will pick up on my next comments here, and this will be tonight's example of hate speech on the state-controlled media. So roll out there on state-controlled media if you're looking for today's installment of hate speech. Here it comes. Obama is now going to use... Are you rolling? Okay, take two. Obama is now going to use his deceit and his propaganda skills to claim that the dire problems from his plan have not been realized. He's going to go out starting tomorrow in Iowa City and all next week when he goes out to sell this embarrassing piece of legislation, and he's going to say, where's all the top stars? Where are all the dire problems? Has anybody put a plug on Granny? He's going to go out and all of these fear-mongering scare tactics supposedly made up by people like me are going to be held up as just that. Nobody's pulled a plug on Granny or any of that. Exactly as I predicted this afternoon in Iowa City.
There's been plenty of fear-mongering, plenty of overheated rhetoric. If you turn on the news, you'll see the same folks are still shouting about there's going to be an end of the world because this bill passed. I'm not exaggerating. Leaders of the Republican Party, they called the passage of this bill Armageddon. Armageddon. End of freedom as we know it. So after I signed the bill, I looked around to see if there were any asteroids falling or some cracks opening up in the earth. Turned out it was a nice day. Birds were chirping. Folks were strolling down the mall. People still had their doctors.
Do I know this guy? Or do I know this guy? I am living rent-free in this guy's head. It is just amazing. Oh, yeah, and the panhandlers were even nicer. Why did you leave that out, Mr. President? The homeless are not as rude when they're asking for their $3,200 a month for their shelter. Yes, Mr. Snerdley, yes, it is fun to be me. Speaking of being me, folks, I have told you I'm not going to be here tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday and maybe Wednesday because I got a long trip. 15 hours out, 17 hours back. Now, 15 hours on an airplane, not a problem for me. 1 hour on an airplane for most everybody is a potential health disaster. You don't know what kind of diseases people get on these airplanes with. The common cold is constantly circulating. If one person has it, it's circulating throughout the entire fuselage. And Obamacare is not going to take care of you. You're no longer going to go into the doctor's office and be treated for a cold. There's nothing they can do anyway except charge your insurance company $100 for the visit. And what are they going to do? Send you out and say, you what? Go get some aspirin. Drink plenty of fluids. Have some chicken soup. No, my friends, Zicam. I take it with me on the airplane anyway. You never know. Zicam, oral mint spray, is my favorite delivery of the product. 4 times in your oral cavity. That's your mouth, for those of you in Rio Linda. Every 3 hours, at the moment you think you've got a cold, and zip, zada, it stops it. Doesn't get rid of it, but it slows down the onset. It reduces the severity of the symptoms. And I have testimonial letters from people thanking me about this. That would be a stack almost half as high as the health care bill. Product works. Zicam. They got lozenges, too. There's any number of ways you can use it. I just happen to like the breath spray because it is a breath spray as well as a way to shorten the duration, the common cold. Zicam. Here's Paul, West Palm Beach, Florida. Great to have you on the program, sir. Hi.
Hi, Rush. How are you?
Great.
My comment, and I want to be brief, I know it's the end of your program, is your point on the quote-unquote aggressiveness of the conservatives and the Republicans. I mean, I just find it laughable. It's not my experience with all the people I know who oppose this bill. But I wanted to point out that the first thing I thought of was the aftermath of the Gore-Bush election when everyone was going crazy and the Democrats were so aggressive, and when the Republicans stood up to them, everyone was in shock. You know, how can these Republicans be standing up to us? A very low level of assertiveness was a shock to the libs. And now they think that, you know, we're all of a sudden capable of this, you know, leaving coffins on people's front lawns.
You know, that's an excellent point, because the Florida aftermath, especially for us in this area, because, I mean, that's where the butterfly ballot was, and all these poor people thought they voted for Buchanan. Yeah, and we had all these Democrats. What was that commissioner's name? Carol, what's her face? I can't remember her name.
Can I tell you a quick story about that?
Yeah.
I was at Palm Beach International during that whole mess, and I started chatting with a guy who turned out to be a low-level curator from the Smithsonian, and he was collecting signs. And he was shocked. He's like, I'm a lib. I can't believe how many people are fighting this.
Well, it was near riotous. It was near riotous. The Democrats were going bonkers. So I know that some Republicans went down there and carried signs where they were counting the ballots and so forth. And you go out to Miami-Dade, the Brooks Brothers Brigade, these well-dressed Republicans showed up to make sure that the counting of the ballots, the recount down there was being done properly and fairly. And you're right, that ticked off the Democrats, because nobody treated them that way. Whatever they wanted to do with government, they got away with doing. And they were in the process of trying to steal an election. And people stood up to them and so forth. And, I'd forgotten all about that. Yeah, that's great examples of Democrat Party civility there. Tremendous examples of it. Okay, appreciate it. Ed King, George, Virginia. 1 minute. Can you do it in 1 minute?
Yeah, I sure can, Rush. As usual, Joe Biden is 2/3 right. You know, it's not a big effing deal. It's just a big effing.
Yeah, and we're the ones getting effed.
You got it.
Thanks much. We'll take a break and be right. I love that.
Rated the #1 talk radio personality of all time, Rush Limbaugh.